Hey, good morning, guys. You are back with the crew. So glad to have you guys back again today. This video, the title's maybe just a little deceptive, maybe, because this video is actually going to be about what Bob and I have been talking about, and I do have some very valuable XRP information at the end of this video. However, that is not why I created this channel. This is not what about Bob video. That's why I didn't put it in the title. I don't know how else to express to you. He doesn't know anything about XRP. He doesn't know anything about what's going on. However, I am getting some communication lines set up through people he can maybe connect me with in the future, who is going to give me more the technical side of exactly what they're doing. So that's really cool, and I'll share that tidbit. But this channel isn't about Alan, regurgitating information he learned on the inside from somebody. That's not why I even started this. I started this whole channel because in my opinion, there weren't enough channels that cared enough about the people. There weren't enough channels that tried to paint the positive instead of always the conspiratorial side of life. I went down that conspiracy theory ramp for 20 years. I'm not naive. I just choose to live my life in a blessed way, in the best way I can. And I like to share the positivity about our future together. Enough about that. So this is about global banking and what I know now. I can't talk about all of it because, the platform I'm on won't allow me to say a lot of the things that I would love to say. However, I'm going to try and get my point across without getting booted off this platform. Okay, there are big moves happening currently, as we know. The whole FTX thing, and there's players that are pushing players around. Like I mentioned in a video labeled, you can go back and look at it. I think it was the XLM video where I talked about there are big players and there are teams at the top. These teams are not just bankers. These teams are nations, and these teams are governments and groups of governments, such as BRICS and other nations. What's occurring right now is the Western banking system, if you will, that also has 2 or 3 branches in it who are fighting amongst themselves. It's not one conglomerate ruling your life. I know everybody thinks that, but that's not how the world is. But anyway, so those people who run the Western banking system have been relentless and unforgiving to, in particular, third world countries, for lack of a better word, and many countries have borrowed in the bond network market. Okay, that's how they create better municipalities, better drinking water, electric for their people. On a giant macro scale, that worked for a very long time. However, with the recent increase in the US dollar, they cannot keep up with their bond payments. If you read the book, The Diaries of an Economic Hitman, brilliant book. I don't know if it's diary, but I think that's the title. I haven't read it in a long time. It talks about what the Western bankers try to achieve is to get you in debt, get you constantly paying the profits of your people in your nation to them so they keep you suppressed or controlled. And if you default on these bonds, they own your country. And the labor of and the assets of, if you're an oil country, if you produce gold, if you produce wheat or whatever, they own those assets. It's not fun. It's not good people. And they keep you constantly in debt to achieve this. Okay. Now that we know that, what's happening is, and I'm just going to use the word BRICS nations, okay, are coming to the table to all of these people that this other system has manipulated, controlled, had their thumb on top of for decades now. They're coming to them at a fair and honest bargaining table and saying, listen, if you join our group, Saudi Arabia recently in the news, I don't know if you guys missed this, but a year ago they signed a defense deal with Russia. The Saudis did. Okay. Not trying to get too specific here, but that's pretty significant, right? If you don't understand that, that's pretty huge. Okay. That was the only reason why they sold barrels of oil in the U.S. name, is because the U.S. government protected them from enemies and sold them weapons and whatnot through the military-industrial complex. Again, I can't talk about too much of that stuff because I will get booted. So the point I'm trying to make, that when Bob and I deep dive on these conversations, this is what we're talking about: geopolitical, massive, big chessboard. We're not talking about just ISO 222, although that is significant and it is coming and it is important. It's not the giant piece of the puzzle. All that being said, these countries are working out deals outside of the Western oligarchy, if you will, and they are working these deals out in a more fair and compliant and favorable for their peoples. And there's a massive shift towards this. It's massive. It's not one or two countries. I know we don't hear about that in the media. Again, the media tells you nothing. And what they tell you is not what you need to know, right? I'm not trying to make a negative video here at all, because all of this is completely fixable as far as, in my opinion, my optimistic opinion. We can all achieve a peaceful world because you and I know what blockchain is going to help the world on that level. I know people think I'm naive. Trust me, I'm not naive. That man is always going to, in the future, we're going to live in a utopian world. I don't believe that necessarily, because, again, contrast and conflict makes for a better world, okay? It just does. So let's get to it, Alan. What did you and Bob find out about XRP? They had the meeting. It was very informal. They've had more than one meeting, and it's been going on for 2 weeks that I know of. He and I haven't been able to talk. We were able to talk. He said that he and I discussed 8 months ago ISO 222, and it was spot on. That's what they're doing. They're all getting regulatory committees put together. They are in constant communication. They are, I have to give you a little background. He has sold the company to a massive company. He may or may not have sons who work for that company in very high levels. I'm trying to get information. I have spoke with those people, may or may not have spoke with those people in the past, and I'm trying to get a better technical background than Bob. Bob is not really the guy who knows anything about the stuff I even ask him about. So I should have wrote this down. They have set up the communication. They are both, as we know, ISO compliant. They are both working together to create a liquidity market. They are not alone. There are many different companies involved in this. He gave me 2 or 3 that you and I already know of. That, you know, Corda's in there. He spoke specifically about them. When it was a question I asked him, what manner do they play? What does that company have to do with the future of that liquidity in that market? He didn't know anything about it. He said yes, that's who's involved. That's about all he knew about it. He said that he knew he didn't know who they were. He knew that the people he questioned about the company, yeah, those people are involved. It was complete secondhand information. Now, what is my summary? What is my speculation on this? if I were to speculate, it's exactly what we've been thinking and what we've been talking about for a long time on this channel and in many other Zach's channel. This is happening. It's coming. We are in November now. November is the month that you can choose to be. You're not forced to be. We happen to know, I was talking with Steve the other day, who's in the chat. Hey, Steve. Great man. I know from we shared at the small town. I think I've spoke about him before, but there's a list of over 700 banks. I've seen the list that are already compliant, and they are completely connected. Can't say too much more than that specifically. You can get the list. It's out there on the webs, as they say. I don't have a hard copy of it, but trust me, it's there. I've read it, and virtually every bank that you can imagine was on the list. Almost every one of them. I know that's not news to a lot of you out there, but it is to most of us. So that was huge. My other speculation is this, and this is not going to make a lot of people happy. We are in a lot of ways further away from all of this happening than sooner. 6 months ago, I would have said, oh, it's going to happen before the end of the year. I don't like speculating on time, but I'd be shocked. Shocked isn't the right word. I know people who think it's going to happen in December. I don't think it's going to happen before the end of the year. I just don't. And I know there's a lot of people that are hoping the XRP is going to settle, and that whole thing is they're going to have a ruling before Christmas. I don't think that's going to happen. I just don't. That's my gut. That's what papers I read on it. By the way, I do get those documents, and I have read them. I know the court case. I don't know it well. There's other people that you should watch their show about it, but between what my wife does for a living and her speculation, and she's been spot on so far, I don't think it's going to happen before the end of the year. Now, those are all speculations. Let's get to the good part. The good part is you're in the right coin. The good part is you're in the right network. The good part is if you're in those, there's a list of, I think it's 6, I think I'm up to 6, no, I'm up to 8 coins that are directly related to that ISO group. And you can do your own research and figure out, I can't recite them all right at the top of my head, but the usual players. That conglomerate, if I will, okay, is going to be successful in the end. They are not going to be 100% of all banking. They are not. I'm just telling you. I'm researching another coin, which is a group of people that are creating a coin. That coin hasn't even come out yet. I just found out about a Japanese conglomerate, and they're going to work with SIPS, the Japanese SWIFT system. The Chinese SWIFT system. I know it's a strange world we live in to believe that the Japanese and the Chinese are getting along. Hey, you just never know, right? They fought for 1,000 years, and now they're friends, I guess. It's interesting times on a macro banking level. But the interview that I'm going to do is going to be a little closer to home and what it's going to mean to you and your home loans and your car loans and all those kind of loans. And that information's coming up real quick. And we're going to have that probably a month from now, I'd guess. And it's big time information that you guys should stick around and listen for. All right, guys, I hope you guys got something from that. I don't want to be Mr. Bob Channel. That's not who I am. Trust me, I have way more to offer and a perspective of how you and I are going to crush this market in the future. So with that, guys, I am out.